Meeting to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we'll go to roll call.
Okay, roll call. Paul Cassidy.
Here.
Tanya Hogan, here. Jerry Galka.
Here.
John DeBoyer.
Here.
Mark Richard.
Here.
Maureen Bory.
Here.
Brian Campbell.
Here.
All right, let's proceed to bills payable.
I would like to first make a motion to amend the agenda.
Okay.
I would like to amend the agenda to add Lance's DPW purchase of equipment trailer and pole barn. And that will become new business 1F.
Support.
All right, all in favor? Any discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, it's added. Okay, we'll go to bills payable.
I make a motion to approve bills payable.
Second.
I would support. I'd just make a note that I believe we should include the dollar amount in our,
In our motion,
yes.
bills payable of $140,716.
Support.
Still.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? You gotta do roll call. Yeah, it's over $3,000. We'll do a roll call.
Okay, so we'll do a roll call. We'll do John DeBoyer,
Yes?
Mark Richard,
Yes.
Maureen Bory,
Yes.
Paul Cassidy,
Yes.
Jerry Galka,
Yes.
Brian Campbell,
Yes.
Tanya Hogan.
All right, we'll go to
Yes.
Supervisor's report. Well, I think everybody knows about the water issue, and we were able to repair the water line. Had an outstanding job by our police, fire, and our water department. The water department did an outstanding job working with Ballard Marine Construction. At this point, everybody should have water, but it's not something that you would drink yet. We've got to get through some testing. Once the testing is done, which may take 4 or 5 days, we would be able to indicate you could then start drinking the water again. Public comments?
Hello, I'm Debbie Mack. I live at 1614 South Channel, and I want to thank everyone who helped get the water going. Appreciate that. By way of background, I've lived on the island 6 months a year since 1991, and then I would move south to Chesterfield for 6 months, so I lived both places, okay? I've been the CFO of a family-owned business for almost 40 years. I'm not one of the family members, so I understand how things can sometimes look like everyone is part of the business. Jerry asked what our thoughts are on ARPA funds. My opinion is there was a strong no vote on the millage for this study. The funds have already been committed to other divisions of our community, and a no vote was taken by this exact board last week. I believe there should be no reallocation of these funds. A $250,000 grant has already been awarded to and spent by HIDA. Perhaps if the boards of Clay Township and HIDA didn't seem to have such an issue with the Bryson family, of whom I am not a friend with, an acquaintance. I know them because I've lived on the island since '91, but I'm not a friend with them. But if they didn't seem to have such a personal issue with them, I might have a different opinion. But it seems to be the writings, the meetings, the social media context are all rather personal attacks on the family. And it's easy to second guess a business's decision. Unless you're in the midst of it, you're actually running it. You know what the regulations are and the risks are that they're trying to mitigate as they go through those things. And it's easy to sit on the outside and armchair quarterback, like we all did it yesterday with the Lions onside kick. Anyways, but it's actually rather rare to see a government-run entity more efficiently than a private business. It's rare. I think we can all agree to that because of our taxes. While I believe there are things that could be done differently to make the business look more professional, I've also seen the owners of Champions Ferry work tireless hours. They have dirty clothes on, they got grease under their fingernails. They're working that business and doing their best. I don't understand why there's a constant barrage of personal attacks against them, and they continue to work with these personal attacks. The attacks aren't necessarily just against the business, but personal attacks against the family members, some whom are not even engaged in running the business. Jacob released a very well-written response to dispel some of the allegations that have been posted on social media. I hope others will read and consider his response. It's my heartfelt belief that Champions Auto Ferry is doing a good job keeping a 24/7 business running with a very small crew of dedicated personnel. If they can make money doing it, God bless them. They deserve it. They've worked hard. I also believe they unfortunately don't have the hours in the day left to fully enjoy the fruits of their labor. Look at David. He just died, 73 years old. Did he enjoy all that money he supposedly earned and has stashed away somewhere? I prefer to see the township find energy, or use energy to find a way to work together. I don't think the offer that Haida presented to take over the reins and have Champions continue to run the business for a salary with no authority was reasonable. That was very unreasonable. I cannot think of any owner of a multi-generational family business that would accept such an offer. I'm almost done. I'll pray for Champions, the Bryson family, and our township as they figure out a way to move forward. We should be living in this beautiful environment, working together as a community, and not living in division. Thank you.
With regard to 1D, which is discussion of the opt-out, I would like to ask you, as you discuss it, to consider the wishes of the residents as expressed in the petitions that they have signed over more than the past year. An example of one page was in your packet. The wish of the firemen themselves, 2 letters of which were in your packet, expressing their desire in serving the community. The fact that our fire chief has asked for support. And considering the mainland people, I'd like you to respectfully consider all that as you have your discussion. And the fact that Algonac and Ira, for very good reasons for their citizens, did opt out. Thank you.
You're Judy Campbell. Do we need her address?
My name is Judy Campbell, 6052 St. Pierre Drive.
Hi, Sarah Clements, 9400 Folker Road. I'd like to express my extreme opposition to any of the township ARPA funds being given away to Haida. As a homeowner in this community, I'm embarrassed and stunned by actions and statements of some of the board members at last week's special meeting. All sloppy attempts to remove ARPA funds that were already approved for the water and fire budgets to ultimately give them to Haida failed. And yet, here we are again tonight, beating the same dead horse for some of these newly elected personal agendas. All throughout the campaign, I heard, we will not use taxpayer money to fund a second ferry. ARPA funds are taxpayer money. And some of you want to give 20% of those funds to an outside entity that this board has no control over. Except for the fact that the last Haida meeting minutes from February of 2024 state that the current Township Supervisor, Paul Cassidy, is on the consulting committee for Haida, and Trustee Bory is the designated spokesperson for Haida on social media, even though she said she resigned. She seems to have a lot of current information, even though the Haida board hasn't publicly had an open meeting since the beginning of 2024. The $250,000 grant that the state was supposed to be for a Haida Bridge study has now turned into wasted money on the option to buy a piece of property, a grant writer that didn't get them any grants, and $6,000 for administrative services from Trustee Bory. It looks like this is a desperate attempt to fund the dream of a Haida-owned ferry because the grant money has dwindled down with nothing to show for it. I was shocked to see Paul Cassidy's own personal attorney present to give legal opinions in lieu of the township's actual attorney at the special meeting, and I wonder if that was because the actual township attorney would have given an opinion that some of you didn't want to hear. Social media feedback over the weekend overwhelmingly showed that this community does not want the ARPA money spent on a second ferry. Even if Treasurer Gulka deleted the post so everyone wouldn't comment, so everyone wouldn't see the comments not supporting it. $217,000 gifted away to an outside authority for a study that could come back as impossible is a huge waste of money.
Yes.
Sarah, the reason two posts were deleted was because somebody's picture was on there and they asked me to take it off. That was the reason.
You took the public comments down.
I couldn't save it. It wouldn't let me. It would.
You can talk to me at the appropriate time.
Okay.
Hello, my name is Artie Bryson. I live at 8356 South Channel, and I told you about my objections at your special meeting about pulling this money out of restricted funds, but now it seems that your intentions is to give it to Haida. Has there been any accountability or accounting where the $250,000 went to this board? That would be an interesting question because I don't think this board has ever seen any accounting where that money went, and that's all I'm asking if there was. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Christine Cross, and I live on South Parkway Drive in Clay. To follow up comments just a minute ago, I wanted to ask if there was an actual formal request written from Haida for this money, number one. Number two, you had mentioned, Mr. Cassidy, that there was a meeting that you just found out, that there was a Haida meeting, and I'm wondering if every board member here was invited to that meeting. If there was a discussion about ARPA funds in that meeting, shouldn't every one of the board members been there? I also noticed, because I was taking a look at the Haida website today, does the attorney that was here last week also represent Haida? Because it was the same name, if I'm not mistaken. I also wanted to ask you if the entire board asked for the attorney's recommendations or opinion on the ARPA funds disbursements, or was it just one or two persons who reached out to this attorney? Thank you.
Anyone else?
Joe Garten, 2212 Fruit Street, Clay Township, Michigan. I too would like to know what happened to the first $250,000 you guys were given, Haida was given. That's kind of, seems kind of shady. It's not transparent at all. No taxpayer money. Wasn't that the drum we're all beating, right? Wasn't that the drum we're beating? Yeah, I don't think that's going on here, is it? It's not. You guys are straight up trying to steal money and defund the police and fire department, which God knows you're beating that drum. Never would do that. Lord knows that. So I'd like to take the time to tell you guys that we're not going to have it. None of us. We will all stand here and fight for this because we all know you have personal agendas against the Brysons. We know about all of it. There is no transparency here on this board besides a few of you. And you know who I'm talking about. God bless.
Christy Bottle, 2979 Fruit Street. For background, I hate politics. I stay out of politics. I've never been to a township board meeting in person. I've watched them online and saw the bits and pieces, but until the last special meeting. The reason for that is I never, as a community member here, felt the need to worry and concern. You may not like everything about every person on the board, but when you feel that they truly have the best interest of the community at heart, you kind of sit back and let them do their thing because they're doing the research, they're doing it. That may be right, that may be wrong, but I've never felt the need. With this last election and all the turmoil that's come from it, I've started paying more attention. I was at last week's meeting and was a little shocked at the discussions that we're having and taking money away from, especially our fire department. That is one of our most valuable resources. Every single one of those men and women will run into any building, any burning car to save any one of us, and you're trying to take money away from them that was already given to them. I don't care for what reason. I don't think that's right. They're counting on those funds. They were told they were being given those funds, and now they're trying to be taken away to give to another organization that is not even a local government organization, that is a state entity. We all know they were already given $250,000 by the state, or from the state. Looking at their approved expenditures, we know that they spent $62,000 on a feasibility study already. Where's the results of that? What came of that? No one's putting that anywhere. They spent $44,000 on a grant writer. Did we receive any grants? Was any of that successful? Or is that all money just gone? $26,000, this is the one that makes me the most frustrated. $26,000 property option. I'm like, what's that? I've never heard of that. Well, I'm told that they're paying $2,000 a month, and that would be that redacted line item, $2,000 a month to a community member because they may decide to buy that property in the future. So we're just throwing $2,000 of money, tax money, giving that away because we may decide that we want that property in the future. I don't think anyone in the community wants their tax money to be going to something like that. We have nothing to show for it. $6,000, well, actually closer to $7,000 of administrative assistance to Maureen Bowery. I'm told that you're no longer on that board anymore, but you clearly seem to have very close connections. It feels like a conflict of interest to me. And I really do think that all of this stuff should be considered, and as a community, I think it was very overwhelming from the social media feedback on your post that you turned all the comments off, Ms. Bowery, and Mr. Galka, you didn't answer the questions that people asked of you.
Anyone else?
Wendy Lenz, 6850 South Channel. The biggest thing I'd like to say is that you guys work for us. You're supposed to do what we want, not what you want. And I don't see any transparency with this the ARP money for HIDA. There's no transparency. And I can think that most people are here for this meeting because they don't want the money going to HIDA. We could take a vote right now. And this is probably a lot of the people of our community right here, right now. If you want the number one special meeting you should have had is for the water line installation. That's our number one priority. And if you want to help businesses, what would help the business is getting the water on. The schoolhouse lost so much money this weekend. San Susie Bar lost money. And the algae wheel would greatly help both those businesses. Any business on the island would be helped by them. And I want to thank you, John DeBoyer, for everything you said and did last at the special meeting. You do your research, you're transparent. I don't know how you made it through that meeting. I'm so nervous. And I want to thank Mark Bouchard, Brian Campbell, and Tanya Harding for using common sense and voting no. Thank you.
My name's Adam Pender, 2979 Fruit Street. I am part of the Bottle family and household and everything. I'm not going to add anything more that hasn't already been added by the people that have spoken before me, but I just wanted to say that, I'm probably one of the youngest people here because I'm concerned about everything that I'm hearing and seeing going on with all of this, much for the same concerns that everybody else has voiced already. And I'm not the only one of, the younger generation. I've talked with a lot of other, fellow friends and classmates and everything, and nobody can really believe what they've heard so far with some of the other things that have happened in the previous meetings. And just know that everyone is aware of what's going on, and, we just want what's best for the community. So, that's all.
Is there anybody else? Not seeing anyone, we'll close public comment. Move on to consent agenda, the minutes. Is there a motion on the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda for the minutes, Board of Trustees minutes, December 2nd, reports, Board approved, 12/2/24, and in-between meetings, which is checks written in between meetings, 12/2/24.
I'll support.
Any discussion? There being none, I think we don't need a roll call on this. Anyone that's
Roll call.
approve? Aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. The fire chief report?
Good evening. Fire Chief's report for November 2024. I attended 2 meetings in the month of November. I attended the St. Clair Flats Association and the St. Clair County Fire Chiefs Association. General business was discussed in both meetings. We pulled out both fireboats for the winter. One's being stored at the Harbor Club in Elginak, and the other one will be stored at Station 2 on the island. And if we have anything that we have to respond out to the outer islands, we'll have Fireboat 2 and the airboat to respond during the winter months. Also would like to advise the residents that they should make sure that their batteries and their smoke detectors and their CO2 detectors are replaced, and also their chimneys inspected and cleaned. We are getting into the cold months. We also, the fire department assisted in the decoration of the tree downtown San Susie, and also the lighting ceremony on that Sunday. It was a nice event. The fire department also hosted a electric vehicle class last month. Very informative. It kind of opened your eyes where how the batteries are made and how they're stored, and what type of products are used by them, from laptops, phones to lawnmowers and these e-scooters. So it was very informative. And department training for the month, we did Fire Rescue 1 had 19 hours. We did 18 hours of medical training, and then department crew training was 35 for the month.
Thanks, Chief, for breaking down your training hours.
You're welcome.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Chief, on the training you went through with the batteries.
Yes.
As we get new firefighters in, I'm sure you'll continue that training on.
We will get that training. I would like to have that probably a yearly class, so we get updates, and then new firefighters that we have would get that training We did open it up to the other departments, surrounding departments. We did have some attended.
I was going to ask you that. I'd like to attend one of those.
Yep, sure.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
We'll move on to unfinished business. I don't think there is any. New business, 1A, the retirement of Beverly Rose. Ms. Rose?
Hello, everybody. Well, it's actually with great sadness that I got to bring this before you. 29 years of service, Bev Rose, which we've worked together, close to 26 of them. Had a lot of good times together. And believe me, she is a staple to this community and especially to our department. And she is really going to be missed. And she's done one heck of a job of getting Dale Williams up to speed on everything she's doing. And the nice thing is, I know with Bev, if there's a question, we're going to be able to ask that question even after she's gone. I got a feeling we'll still see her plenty once she's gone. But she's definitely going to be very well missed here. First of all, I do have a proclamation, which is from State Representative Jay DeBoyer, who could not be here. He's stuck in Lansing. So this is first and foremost. Give you that. And then Commissioner Van Bosch was supposed to be here today. Something came up with him, so he's going to meet us during the week, but they also have one through the county proclamation as well for you. And then from everybody here at Clay Township, I want to present you with this for your 29 years of very dedicated service.
Thank you.
I gotta talk?
Yep.
I don't really like to.
I know. That's why I'm doing it.
I started dispatching in Port Huron, and I lived in Clay. And so after 3 years, I moved down here. I had a lot of experiences that I never thought I'd ever have. And I was able to take all the experience that I had and create a lot of good dispatchers. You should all be very proud of the dispatchers you have working with you at Clay. Dale is my crown jewel. He took to it like water. I can't really say that I'm happy to be retiring. It's just time. And I'm going to miss a lot of people. I made a lot of great friends, and it became a family. So,
Sure have.
thank you very much for a great career.
Thank you, Bob.
We have a little something for you as well.
check? Thank you.
Thank you, Beth.
I know we're not going to miss, we're going to see a lot of you.
Yes, hopefully we see you quite often.
I'm not going to let you
Thank
go.
you for all you did. So many years, went by
I tried
fast,
to
right?
figure out a way we could rope her into staying, but everything I went towards ended up with criminal charges. So. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Mike.
We have 1B, a resolution 2024-46, board meeting dates for remaining 2024 to 2025 year. We have a resolution on that?
We do have a resolution here. I'll make a motion to approve this resolution. I do want to take note for discussion purposes that there was a request to move to the second and fourth Mondays of the month instead of the first and third. So those dates that are in there now will reflect the new meeting times.
Support.
Any discussion?
So this schedule all the way through is second and fourth Mondays?
Yes.
And one meeting on the island
and that's because we have a Republican delegate that wants to be, meetings are the first Monday of the month, so board member would be missing the first Monday meeting every time, that's why we moved it. And I don't know if the board wants to discuss the time. I mean, it's 6 PM. I know that many of the people in the public have asked to move to 7 or 6:30 to get a better chance to get here earlier, but it's up to the board. If they want to move it later or not. You made the motion already, me too.
Well, this is 6 o'clock.
Yeah, it's 6
okay,
o'clock,
yeah.
so, I mean, if it's turned down, we change the time. If it's voted in, we don't change the time.
No, always change it. All right, all in favor? Signify aye.
Yes.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 1C, approval to hire a cleaning company. What can you tell us about that?
So I will make a motion to approve hiring a cleaning company. As of right now, we don't have one. We did try and get quite a few bids. We only got one. Everybody else said we were too far or the job was too big. So I have provided you guys with the one bid we have, but we need to get a cleaning company.
I'll support the motion to hire Dusty Corners, who's bonded and insured.
Any discussion?
So, did they give you like a set time that they felt it would take to do an office cleaning?
Yes,
Or-
if you look at the second page, they gave us an estimate of 3 to 4 hours. We were gonna kind of work with them because they are a very thorough company, so we might not need them there that long, as long as the quote is, because we might not need them to do everything they do. They do every book, they dust everything, which we can kind of narrow that down and try and adjust the hours with them, so it's
Okay.
not that long.
So probably the first couple cleanings is going to be
Yeah.
because it hasn't been done in a while.
Yes.
Do we know how the 3 to 4 hours compared to the previous cleaning company?
I believe the previous cleaning company took about 2 to 2.5 hours, I was told.
Okay.
And that was one person, and this is 2 people, so I'm hoping I can cut that down.
Do they come during hours or after hours?
I think our preference, we haven't discussed, they want to discuss further once they know they have the position, they have the job.
Can they do it on a Friday when nobody's here?
I personally would rather have them, do it when people are here for the confidentiality of everything.
Right, 'cause my office is usually locked, so they wouldn't be able to do it.
They don't even have to go in your office if you don't want them to. We can kind of adjust it how we,
But if I was there, they could get in there and
Yes,
do
yep.
stuff, yeah. but-
Is the cleaning just restricted to this building, or what about the police department?
just our office building.
So the hourly rate, Tanya, is per crew, correct?
This hourly rate is per crew, yes, for the 2-person crew. That is correct.
$90 an hour for 2 people, 3 to 4 hours a week, so $270 to $360 a week.
And they're bonded and insured, so.
That was the issue we were finding, is a lot of people are not bonded and insured when they're doing private cleaning companies. So in order for us to get that, this is what we found is our only option at the time being. If we come up with something else, we can always get rid of them and go with another option. As of right now, this was all we could get.
And did they supply any referrals at all? Like
No.
other people they work for, no?
No, we did not ask for referrals, but that is something that we most certainly can do. They are a local company, though.
What's the name of the owner? Courtney?
Yes, it's Courtney.
Any further
Is she here?
No.
Is she cleaning?
I mean, I don't know what she's doing in her personal time.
All right. No further
Well, if they do a
discussion?
good job, I think that's a fair price.
Yes.
All right, we'll take a vote. Want to do a roll call? Go ahead.
Do you want me to do a roll call?
Yes, I do.
Okay, roll call. We have Paul Cassidy.
Yes.
Jerry Golka.
Yes.
Brian Campbell.
Yes.
Tanya Hogan, yes. John DeBoyer.
Yes.
Mark Burchard.
Yes.
Maureen Bory.
Yes.
All right, move to 1D, discussion of opting out of the St. Clair County Protocol for Emergency Response. We have a motion on that?
I'll make a motion to opt out of the St. Clair County Protocol for Emergency Response.
Second?
Well, I got a question. What does opt-out mean?
Well, you had to do motion with support, but opt out means that, and Chief's going to come up and discuss it.
I'll support.
All right, let's have Chief Rose come up, and you can explain to him how coverage would be with the fire department if we opt out the bill.
Right now, the way it sits, we can only go on certain calls, priority ones and priority twos. We cannot go on priority threes. So our residents are not getting the full service that they deserve.
So priority 1 and 2 is like, you can only go on, you can't go on the more threatening calls, just the ones that are, only the ones that are more threatening.
Exactly,
Not the
heart
ones-
attacks,
Yeah.
difficulty breathing, that sort of thing. I'm not sure exactly why we didn't opt out of it before. I know there were some for opting out, but there were some that did not. The residents like to see the firefighters come through the door. They like to see us.
Is this the first year we did not opt out?
We started in 2023, is when it was. when
But
they
prior to
voted on
that, we opted out,
it. Yes,
right? So this was the first time.
first completely year.
Okay, so we visited this a year ago or whatever it was. And I know it was a little bit of a controversy, but I think the questions that needed to be answered, or the concerns, Chief, there was some concerns about staffing being adequate. There was also some concerns about what this would do to the fire budget. So I would ask you, is staffing adequate now?
Staffing is adequate. We do it on the island.
I know you do, and I know you've improved staffing here as
Yes.
far as your numbers. And then as far as the budget is concerned, do you see this being a hit to your budget with additional costs that you would be concerned with?
I don't.
Okay. Those were the two concerns that was discussed when we visited the first time, so.
Isn't it basically the gas money? Because we already have the firefighters on call, they're there.
Yes.
We already have all the equipment, so it's pretty much the gas money.
So that answers my questions.
And do you remember Judy passed out a packet to everybody?
Yep.
She went around and got a lot of, I didn't count how many people, but there was well over, I think, 20 residents that want to see this. They want to be able to see our fire department serving them. And they have a rapport, right, with a lot of
Yes.
these people.
Yes, we do. There's some we call frequent flyers, and they like seeing us come and help them, to help them out. And we know them they know us by name. They know a lot of the firefighters by name.
All right, can we put it for a vote? Do a roll call.
All right, we'll do a roll call. All right, we've got Brian Campbell.
Yes.
Tanya Hogan, yes. John DeBoyer.
Yes.
Mark Burchard.
Yes.
Maureen Bory.
Yes.
Paul Cassidy.
Yes.
And then Jerry Golka.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
we'll move to, thank you, Chief. 1E, discuss and allocate any remaining ARPA funds. I want to make a motion, but I want to preference something before I make this motion. At the November 18th meeting, the previous board voted to basically park $150,000 worth of ARPA funds in the water department for water meters that had actually been already bought and, as I understood, paid for. They did that and at the same time indicated that if the next board believed that that money could be used elsewhere, that they could certainly remove it and use it elsewhere. I have watched the meeting from November 18th. They did give the water department $150,000 for water meters, and that was money that the water department didn't have until that night, so it wasn't like it was part of their budget or something they depended upon. I've had the benefit of having been a member of HIDA for a couple of years and knowing how the money was spent and what it was spent for. And I think HIDA did as good a job as you could expect them to do under the circumstances in which they operated. I would like to make a motion that the $150,000 that was basically parked in the water department be removed and placed in our general fund. That it not be given to HIDA, but it will be used for the second phase of the feasibility study that's necessary and required by MDOT. I'm familiar with the requirements here. I think the money would be well spent if we, in fact, took that money. Now, I'm not hiding anything. That money will benefit the second study needed by HIDA. And if you don't like HIDA, I guess you could criticize me for it. I will say that, you know, there are people here, obviously, that are not familiar with HIDA, that were not at many meetings that were held by HIDA. Some of you were, I know that, but many of you were not. And a good source of information, in my opinion, for our citizens is to go to the HIDA website and read the history of the ferry system in our community. And I think it would be very enlightening. But my motion is to remove the money from the water department, place the money in our general fund, and that we allocate and expend that money for the second feasibility study that's needed.
Call to order, Paul.
They know they're not supposed to talk. Come on. You know you're not supposed to talk. Well, those of you that are going to continue are going to be removed.
You might be next.
Someone just said you might be next. It's disrespectful.
May I ask Lance a question?
Who's drinking and driving?
Mr. Supervisor?
Joe Garden just accused me of drinking and driving.
Hey, Chief, can you remove that fella?
Yes.
Transparent.
On the front seat right here.
You ain't gotta worry about it, but I'll leave. I'm here for you.
Well, there's no support. Nobody's second, nobody's supported it.
I support it.
All right. Discussion?
I need to ask the budget on the water department right now.
Yes.
How are we looking as far as future spending?
Well, I'm going to tell you right now that we've already moved forward with the studies and the permitting for a second water line but I can't speak to their overall budget, but I can tell you, well, Lance is here, but I can tell you that this recent break in the water line going to Harson's Island, I'm very hopeful that the insurance company is going to pay for everything. I've discussed the matter with them. I believe they will.
So I'm just curious, we had a special meeting last week, and we essentially knocked down basically the identical motion, other than instead of this going to HIDA, this is going to go to the general fund. I'm curious what the reason for bringing it back under those terms is, Mr. Supervisor.
Well, I think that it wasn't clear to everybody as to where the money was coming from, and after watching the film, that and I've asked other people here to watch it, that it was specifically noted that that money could be moved out. It was not part of their budget.
Okay, well, I'm still going to take the position that I'm not sure that doing that is legal. I got a chance to review the numbers a little bit from our special meeting. That money it's in the general ledger. It was deposited into 591 water as revenue replacement. So
That's right.
Are we even certain that we can now go into an enterprise fund and withdraw that money out to put it in general or anywhere, for that matter?
On your last meeting, when you put it in there, the board approved a motion that said if the new board comes in and would like to move it out, they can, and you voted on
Okay,
that.
so Jerry, I'll differ with you there. That was a statement made by the Township Supervisor. It wasn't a board decision.
It was right before the board made the
It was on
motion.
November 18th. You're correct. But I just feel like we committed that money to the water department. We now have an item before us on the agenda that we could use that money to pay for this barn and this utility trailer. And we're going to basically pull it out, put it in general, which then we know where it'll go from there. It's going to go to
The only reason the pole barn, because there was no obligation on it. Lance gave me obligations tonight, so we're not pulling any money out of.
But that's not entirely accurate either, Jerry. The money was obligated.
You have to obligate the money.
There was not a contract, but the money was
Either a
obligated.
contract or a paid receipt you need to obligate the money to.
No, that's not true.
It is true.
I actually think it is.
No, it's not. I reviewed it
John,
for about 5 hours today.
John, I went to a class, MTA.
Okay, well.
First week, and I've made phone calls.
So let me just make another statement. And this is based on the summary that we got at our special meeting. And this was between the fire and the water funds. There was $305,000 allotted to the fire department. And it said on your summary, Jerry, that there was a balance of $59,208.73 to be moved to ARPA funds. That $59,208.73 doesn't exist.
That was.
That was
part of our
money.
discussion tonight.
Okay, well, let me
That was
continue.
inaccurate.
So, but that would also include the $48,647 for the DPW excavator that, Jerry,
the
you
whole
showed.
excavator.
Hold on, Jerry, you showed a balance of $46,2449. That also doesn't exist. Those numbers are dollar amounts that are in the fire and water budget. Those are not extra amounts, as you called them.
They are. The fire pump was $305,000. Your board approved.
Correct.
And he spent.
Hold on. It's not my board, okay? It's the township board.
The prior board, okay.
Okay, let's keep it civil.
The prior board.
Township board, yes.
It was budgeted $305,000. They actually spent $364,000.
Correct.
Captain Rose said he knew that. Chief Rose, that they had to, they had to pay the difference out of their fund.
Correct.
Okay, and that's all the statement I was making, that no money was coming out of, but that they were responsible to pay for that.
But but under your summary, it says $59,208.73 to be moved to ARPA funds.
Because I thought.
So what that essentially means is we're taking it out of the fire budget to put it in ARPA funds.
We aren't.
We aren't.
We're not
He's saying that was a
Up
mistake.
until that time, that was.
You didn't tell me it was a
Okay, let
mistake.
me explain.
Jerry,
John,
just said it was a
we're talking
mistake.
about something that doesn't exist.
Okay, but I'm just.
It's not part of the discussion.
Okay, but if
Okay,
we get
I
on
can-
to the DPW portion, it does exist.
Hold on. We're on the fire pumper right now.
Okay.
I had no idea that the money wasn't paid yet, that is on order. So actually, that resolution should have said, we're only allocating $305,000 to the fire pump. I thought ARPA paid the $364,000.
I have a question about the actual motion. Now, since the the previous board stated that the $150,000 was for reimbursement, wouldn't that money already be accounted for? Because we would have already had to reimburse them, so then it's accounted for.
No, it was
And we
paid for.
can't.
It was-
But it's kind of like a contract
It was out of a
stating that we're reimbursing something that was already paid for.
They paid for it already.
What it was
And they
called
threw
was
the money and
revenue.
said, this is
Right, so
reimbursement.
It was called revenue replacement.
And
We did it for the
reallocation.
police, not reallocation, revenue replacement. We did it for the police, we did it for the fire, we did it for the water department.
Okay.
In my opinion, and the way I feel, is we obligated that money to those departments for whatever it may be. Keep in mind, the COVID money was for money that was for lost revenue during the COVID period.
And that was changed.
And what was changed?
The laws with COVID.
Over time, they changed.
Okay, but that's why it's called revenue replacement. That's why we did what we did.
It's not just revenue replacement now.
Okay, so
I've got the book if you want to
long
look at it.
story short, in my opinion, this is why I take the position I do. We obligated that money to those departments. We told those department heads, we're giving you this money for X, Y, and Z. Okay, so now we're coming back and we're saying, we're going to take that 150 from the DPW and we're going to allocate it the way we see fit to give it to HIDA.
We're not giving it to HIDA, but they're going to get the benefit of it. Yes, you're right.
So I want
Not going to give it to HIDA?
call to order.
But aren't we just going to give it to general?
Call to
and then it's
order.
gonna-
General fund.
And then it's going to go to HIDA? That's what I'm saying.
It's not going to HIDA.
It's not?
We're going to order it ourselves.
Right.
So the township is going to order a study to be done for HIDA?
No, for the
Feasibility
township.
study. We're going to. That's right.
So there's been many feasibility studies done in this township for sewer, for other things. This is going to say once and for all, if something is needed, and that's something that I believe is owed to the Harson's Island residents. There have been people who have died.
why is that
And you're
owed?
interrupting me.
Why is that
And
owed?
why are you
For the same
interrupting me?
reason- wait a minute,
Please
wait
do
a
not
minute.
interrupt me.
For the same reason we have. a redundant-
Excuse me, someone called me a pain in the ass over there.
Have
Do we-
them removed.
Oh, for crying out loud. Come on, let's go.
Did the crowd
Let's-
please
let's-
just
let's
calm down and
discuss
let
this.
them do their meeting, okay? This is their time to do their comments up front. I understand there's some times where you want it announced. Just please, let them conduct the meeting. Why not?
Let's have our discussion.
Okay?
I'm not going to listen to disrespect from these people. Oh, these people, okay.
We have comments after the meetings, which prior board didn't. Hold your
We
comments.
may have
until
a lot
after.
of people in this room right now that are opposed to this. I have gotten calls, emails, a lot of people are asking for it to happen. They don't want to come here and get bullied and feel threatened. So I can tell you that there are just as many, if not more, that support these efforts. Now, at the last meeting on November 18th, and everyone reviewed the video, and we were actually at that meeting. Not only did Supervisor Bryson, but two other board members, Chris O'Regan, and I've said that the new board can reallocate this money and do whatever they want. That was what their exact words, that they can do whatever they want. What a lot of people don't understand is that HIDA has transparency on the money. And there, Artie is going to laugh. We've had lots of discussions, but this is something that, there are people that have passed away on the island because the ferry didn't respond to phone calls. There's concern of the aging infrastructure. There was concern years ago saying this ferry is not going to be able to continue without these funds. And I don't blame them for not wanting to take the money because then they have government control over them. They have to take credit cards, they have to report everything. But if they were to take the money, and, he's talking about having a ferry that is, of a nonprofit nature. Okay, so I don't need to keep hearing it from the audience. So You know, I think that some people on this board, because the last meeting was so difficult, thought that money was dedicated and it couldn't be moved. And people from the audience were telling them that. You can't move that money. And then when they saw this video that said, the new board can do what they want. Those ARPA funds, one of the main things, and Trustee Hiltunen was very clear about it, should be used for things that we wouldn't normally do, we wouldn't normally purchase. That's what the state recommends, that we use it on something that we wouldn't normally spend it on. We buy water meters all the time. That is not something that is an odd or an expense that we would not spend. So, I mean, that's all I have to say.
And Mr. Bryce at that meeting said that he parked that money there so he wouldn't lose it.
Right.
And he is right, because if you don't obligate it, you're going to lose it, but you can move it.
And he said, and they probably will.
So we may or may not to be able to move it, okay? That may be up for dispute. My position is, I feel it's wrong to do it. We've already obligated it to a department and a department head for whatever it may be. So what's our concern with the ferry? Why is the township get involved in this?
Well, how about, for the same reason you want to put a second water line in?
Hold on a minute, though.
Redundancy of-
Hold on a minute, Mr.
redundancy of
Supervisor.
services.
Well, you asked him a question, let him finish.
We run a water distribution system.
Yeah.
We don't run a ferry service.
We're not going to run one either.
Well, how about if we just said, you know, I'm tired of the prices of the groceries at Kroger. Maybe we should do a study about subsidizing a second grocery store.
It's not putting the safety.
Food's not important?
It's a safety and economy.
Food's not important?
It's the safety and economy of the island. And people on the island deserve to have transportation. Should we say the people that moved on Flamingo and Audubon and Bluebill, they're living on the other side of a bridge? When that bridge breaks down, well, they decided to live on the other
No.
side of a bridge, so we're not going to fix it?
No, and I'll tell you why.
That's the same thing.
Because both sides of that bridge are township roads.
So is the other side.
No, that's not true. M29 is a state highway and 154 is a state highway.
Well, then we'll do our best to get state funding for a ferry.
100%. I think that should definitely be.
So we have to get phase two done before we can get the state funding.
That's the purpose of
How does why is it the township's requirement to get funding to subsidize
It's not.
something to compete with private business?
It's not.
Why are we competing with private business?
We're not.
Why is Gordie Howe Bridge competing with Maddie on the embankment?
Why do we have a monopoly here?
The Grow Seal. John, I've lived 20 years in Downriver, okay? Grow Seal has a free bridge that's run by the county, and they have a pay bridge that private individual owns. They've
Okay.
had it that way for years.
And I'm 100% against the county bridge, so I don't think the government should be competing with private industry. That's just my opinion.
Michigan Department of Transportation did a study. What
You
the
should
state.
read the MDOT study.
That the state has an obligation to people who live on an island, the state has an obligation to them to provide transportation. They hired Michigan State University to do this study.
Maureen, that says Clay Township. We're not the state. We're not obligated.
They did a study on what's the obligation that the state has to residents who live on an island. That's what we have. We have a township with a group of residents who live on an island. And they have, excuse me?
Come on.
Can you remove him, please?
Can't you wait till public comment?
Sorry again. Please keep your comments down. I'm not removing.
First of all, listen. Everybody, this has got to stop, okay? And Mr. Supervisor, please, use your gavel if you can on this.
I'm going to from this point
Quiet it down,
forward.
put count on everybody. This is not the place for this. Let's be better than this, please.
It's Mr. Bryson doing the heckling because his family has an interest.
We'll have our comments afterwards. Let's do them afterwards. Let's just get through this, please.
Excuse me, can I make a comment? I've sat here and listened to both sides of everything going on here, and I'm in the position right now, I understand perfectly what Haida wants. They want access to the island, $5 a ferry. Well, that's fine, okay, go ahead and get it. But what I'm not going to approve on my part is robbing Peter to pay Paul and using that money to give to them for another study that has already gone down the drain. We're going to do it again. We like to take the money and give it to somebody else that can use it.
It's not another study, for one thing, Mark. It's not another study. The study was not even...
It's phase two. It's
The
phase two.
the
The other
study-
study is done.
The study was not able to be finished, and what people don't understand is the option to purchase property had to occur because a study could not be done without a piece of property. You can't just do a study and not say where the landing is going to be. You have to know where it's going to be, so the option to purchase
Why wasn't that
property.
all done in phase one?
Phase one.
That would have been the first thing. I
There
would have
wasn't
done.
enough
I
money.
would have also looked at whether it's on where the landings are, whether it's wetlands or not wetlands.
They did do that, and it's above the wetland. It's above
wetlands.
it's above it. That was done
And
in
did
phase one.
Eagle get a permit? Did you get a permit yet?
Permitting is in phase two.
Oh, there you go.
Well, we don't have a permit either for the algae water treatment plant.
Yeah,
It
let's
was
stop
put,
that.
it was put in several newsletters that we already had it, which we don't, and we've committed over $1 million to that project. This is $150,000 out of $11 million budget to an island that has, HIDA is a subsidy of Clay Township.
No, it's
If-
not. No, it's
Well,
not.
now, it is.
No, it's
Let me
not.
explain. You can look right on the HIDA website.
I don't care what the
The very
website
first,
says.
the
I know what
article.
the law says. It's not a subsidy. of
The
Clay Township.
Articles of Incorporation, the very first sentence in the Articles of Incorporation, John, say that Harson's Island is formed as a subsidy of Clay Township. Go on the harsonsida.org website, look at their Articles of Incorporation. It is.
This board has no control over that board whatsoever. We can't tell them
It's
how
a-
to spend money. We can't tell
It's still,
them.
it doesn't mean that they're not a branch off of Clay. It says right in their Article of Incorporation that they are.
I disagree.
And they haven't been supported.
I disagree.
They are entitled to a budget. I talked to Michigan Township Association. They're entitled to a budget from this board, which has never been considered. We were told they don't qualify for ARPA funds. We're not giving them to them, but, we have more than one attorney that said they believe they do qualify.
And
But
like I
we're
said,
not
that's
giving
up
it,
for discussion.
that's not the motion. So the motion is that this board controls the phase two of the study.
The reason I take my position is, if HIDA wants to work with the residents of Harson's Island, and they want to see that go forward with a second ferry, that's fine, I have no issue with it whatsoever. My issue is that we're taking township dollars that we own, and we're giving them to an autonomous government body, HIDA.
And we're not.
We're not.
We're not?
We're not giving them to
This
HIDA.
$150,000?
The board is going to,
Okay, so let me rephrase that. We're going to pay for HIDA's bills.
we're going to pay for a
We're
feasibility
going to pay for,
study.
which would be
Which the
expensive.
which
So
the
tell me
township
what our
could do it
return is,
itself if it
Mr.
wanted.
Supervisor, just tell me what our return is to Clay Township on that money that we give to, that we
You
have
wanna
the
know
study
what the
done. Tell me what our
return
return is.
Well, we can get rid of our depressed economy on the island, where everybody's gone out of business because people don't want to cross at $15 a crossing, round trip.
Okay,
So we're going to increase the value of property. That's the return. Plus, I think it'll.
is that government's job, though?
Yes.
Really?
Doesn't that increase your tax base?
But is that government's job to,
Why does government have a DDA, Downtown Development Authority?
okay, so,
Same difference.
so that's a whole other discussion, but
Well, no, we're taking
The short answer on
No,
that,
it's
Jerry,
not.
the short answer on that
We're
is.
pulling taxes
Hold on.
and giving it to that
The short
entity.
answer on that is, instead of that money going to St. Clair County, we keep it here in Clay. That's why there's a DDA. That's the whole purpose.
Well.
And that benefits
okay.
our citizens.
You should do a little reading. Perhaps you could read about Pole Town and understand this a little better.
Well, I don't really care about Polk.
You
I
always-
care about
Of course
Clay
you don't.
Township.
You don't care about the mainland, and you don't think the island deserves anything.
Do not put words in
Well,
my mouth.
that's
I
how I-
absolutely do care about,
Well,
I care about Clay Township. That's my job on this board, Clay
The
Township. And that
island's
means
part of the
island,
township.
mainland.
The
I look
island
at the
is part
safety
of the
factor.
township.
Absolutely it is.
I look
100%.
at the safety factor that people, they're going to be able to get to the island. You'll have 2 ferries, and you shouldn't have a wait time for a medical emergency.
See, I don't even want to discuss or debate whether or not it's needed. That is for HIDA and the people of the island to work together on it. I have no problem with that.
It's for
The
Clay
safety of the
Township to make
people
sure they're safe.
It's not.
It's our job. It is our job to make sure they're safe.
No, it's not.
Why do we even have police then? It's our job
Yeah.
to keep people safe.
Why do we have police?
To keep people safe.
Right.
If it's not our job to keep people safe,
Okay, so maybe we should inspect the milk and Kroger, make sure that's safe too.
It's nothing.
It'd be more sensible if that was a rational.
Unbelievable.
that's not rational
It's
whatsoever.
unbelievable. We're going way out of bounds as far as government's requirements, I'll tell you that right now.
We've done feasibility studies for a lot of things.
The algae wheel?
We run, Jerry, Clay Township runs a water and sewer department. That's what we've done for 60 years.
But you still did a feasibility study for the businesses there.
You know what, Clay Township created HIDA. Now, why did they do that? So that they could wash their hands of it?
Well, you know what, but we don't have the time to even talk about that, Paul, because I can tell you what, I was here working at the township when that was created.
Yeah.
And I know who the township supervisor was, and I know all the circumstances involved, and I can tell you, if you want to sit down for an hour, the complete history of the whole
Well, there
thing.
was a board that voted it.
So,
I mean, it's just like there's.
anyways, I think
All right.
everybody's clear
Well,
on how
I
I
think
feel.
everybody's made their
The
point.
sewer's a private entity.
Anybody else have any further comment
I'm done.
or argument? All right, can we do a roll call vote?
Yes, we can. Roll call. Brian Campbell.
Yes.
Tanya Hogan? No. John DeBoyer?
No.
Mark Burchard?
No.
Maureen Bory?
Yes,
Paul Cassidy?
Yes.
Jerry Galaka? Golka?
Yes.
Motion's carried. We have time for board members' comments.
oh, we gotta do the trailer and DPW, we had amended
Oh,
the
that's right,
agenda.
we added that, didn't we? All right.
Yes, you
You
got
want-
some, you
want
got an
that?
obligation for us. Today you got it to me, so it's looking good.
All right, gentlemen, you see what's before you. And the trailer that was tabled last time, and you had mentioned, Jerry, that they only allotted
5,000
5,000.
of ARPA funds, yes.
Well, I was kind of hoping that the 150 that was in my fund at that point in time could have went to complete my pole building and possibly do the trailer, but obviously that's not possible at this point in time. So my question is, at this point in time, please okay the amount for the bill for the lumber, and it would be at that point in time, the cost for building the pole barn at that point in time.
Oh, that's it.
Which is a total of 62,400 for the lumber, and how much for the,
No, it is 42,000 for the lumber and 62,400 for the building of the pole barn.
so that's a total of $104,400 with a $75,000 budget. And I just wanted you to know, I called in estimates for that trailer, and I got estimates from AIS Construction of $26,000. Your estimate was 42, almost $43,000. And I also called Appalachian.
The same trailer?
Yes, the same, I used the same specs
I
as
thought
you.
the trailer was 33,995.
It is 33.
Yeah.
Well, I see 42,975 here, it's wrong. Yeah. So, yeah,
That is a 40,000-pound trailer, triple axle, dual wheel on all three axles, with electric brakes on all three, and it has 17-ply tires.
well, I guess that's a moot point because we're only looking at the pole barn. But also, I wanted to ask you, can we just, like, we're centrally located, we've got this big backhoe, how deep do you usually dig when you're
All
on
matters what the
repairs?
job is.
I mean, do you go 4 or 5 feet generally? Do you go 10 feet? I
It
mean,
all matters what the job is. If I'm working water, if I'm working sewer,
What does that
it all
have to do with
matters.
the trailer?
well, I just wondered if, a smaller trailer would have been more effective, I don't know.
I
But
can't put a smaller trailer under my backhoe. And at the point in time, my backhoe right now is about 3.5 years old. It needs close to $6,000 worth of tires because they've been worn out because we drive it everywhere. That's the object of buying a trailer, to where I can haul it, where I don't have to buy tires every 3 years.
Well, what's the cost effectiveness on that? I mean, is it tires versus 33,000 for a trailer?
Well, $6,000 every 3 years, I would say that's the cost comparison.
And the trailer will be here forever.
It's basically cost avoidance.
Forever.
That's what you're looking at.
Not to mention, but that's wear and tear on that backhoe
Machine.
to be driving
Yes.
it all over.
Transmission, you're talking
Let me ask you
tires,
this, Lance, what do you
brakes,
pay
everything.
if you have to have that thing picked up and serviced or whatever? What do you pay for pickup?
It's about $1,800 to $2,000 to them, for them to haul it to the dealer.
So I'm not sure why we're even questioning that.
Okay. So I don't, hopefully we have enough money for the 104,000. Do you think we have it, Jerry?
So that's my question.
Right now, I just did,
Hey,
you know,
Paul, can you bang the gavel, please, Paul?
So that's my question is, how, do we have the money to pay for this?
Oh, aren't you going to laugh at John? He asked the same question.
I guess I'm not as funny.
John, what we have here is $12,432, and that would put us right, using up every penny of the ARPA funds.
So,
On top of the 75,000,
Yes.
so it's 87,000.
so you're saying that the
I was gonna
DPW has
split some of that up with the fire.
87,000 in ARPA funds
To give him
remaining?
that. I was gonna split it with the fire originally.
Jerry? Are you saying that the water department has $87,000 in ARPA funds currently?
Well, no, we have to okay them.
No, available?
Yeah, ARPA fund says 12,000 available.
On top of the 75, right? 12,000 on top of the 75? Because we budgeted 75,000 for their,
Well, totally, then we'll have the ARPA funds all spent. There won't be any money that has to go back to the treasury.
So where is that? I mean, I don't see it. I'm just having a hard time seeing where that's located.
Where's it at right now?
It's from the under budgets of the Colony Tower. They budgeted 120, it was 56. Some of that went toward the water needs, but when you take the pluses and minuses of all the different places it went to, there's 12,932.
Okay, that's where I don't see it, because as I go down your list that you gave us on Thursday for a fire pumper, that's not there. DPW excavator, we paid in full. St. Susie sign, we paid in full. Welcome sign, paid in full. Colony Tower, paid in full. Police suppressors, rifles, body cams, drones, remodel, paid in full. Pickleball screen, playscape, Harson's Island, paid.
That's all different, that's county ARPA.
I don't even know if the police drone money was on there because
It was.
Chief came in with that.
The drone money's there, I'm going to bring a presentation on that.
So on that green sheet you gave us, Jerry, last week, where would that money be that's not accounted for in that breakdown that you gave us?
I didn't bring the green sheet with me.
You want to lend him the green sheet? He needs it, Mark.
What do you need?
Lend it to Jerry, the green sheet.
Yeah, I think they had a green sheet from last week. I left that at my desk.
Because when I look at this and I look at the general ledger, I show everything except the 305 for the fire pumper is being expended. It's gone. It's either spent or obligated.
I've got all the receipts right here, if you can add them all up.
The only thing that I showed for the DPW was the 150,000 in revenue replacement. But that was to cover, that money was for pole barn and trailer. That's what it was obligated for on November 18th at our last board meeting prior to the new administration coming in.
Are you moving the money, the 88,000, Jerry, that was supposed to go to the police? Because at the November 18th meeting, they said there was 238,000. 150,000 was allocated to the DPW and 88,000 to the police, remember?
right.
So that was what the money was left over.
Right.
So that's where we're getting the 75,000.
Right.
It's from that 88,000.
But we just took the 150 out?
Yeah,
No.
there was 238 in it.
There was 238,000. If you watch the November 18th meeting,
Well,
at the 1
that's
minute,
what your numbers were at your meeting.
the 1 hour 50,
I'm not saying I agree with that.
well, these are the numbers the board.
I'm not saying I agree with those numbers, Paul.
Well, you
But I
voted
think
for
I
it.
think he actually did figure it out to that, like.
All I can tell you is I
237.
spent some time on it today, and I broke it down based on our minutes from our workshop, our general ledger, and I just don't see that.
I've got a packet of all the receipts and commitments that I can give you, and then you can look at them, and it'll add up then, you'll see.
This is something that I talked about at the last meeting. I said, I give kudos to Tanya and Jerry because right in that meeting, if you look at the video, the 1 hour, 58 minute, and 14 second mark, the board says we have 238,000 remaining ARPA funds. And none of those numbers were left. And Jerry figured it down to like $237,500 on his own without any help or any guidance from the previous board.
Wow.
And then we voted on November 18th to put 150,000, which, you know, the board said can be reallocated and probably will, to DPW and 88,000 to the police. So the 150,000 was already voted on to move.
No, it wasn't, no, it was 75,000 for the,
Well, it was 88,000 because it was 238,000 on November 18th meeting. It was 150,000. If you watch the video, 88,000 was going to go to a resource officer and police wages. So we still have that 88,000. So that's where you're coming up with the 75 and the 12-something.
right.
That's why that's the $87,000.
Nope. Doesn't add up according to my numbers.
Well, in that meeting, let me just say it one more time, November 18th.
What do you got, John?
What do you show?
Well, let's see. All our money that we spent from, when did we start? April of '24 through the 14th of November was $273,702.18. That left us a balance of $552,197.60, but of that $552,197.60 is $305,000 for the fire department. So that leaves us a balance of $247,197.60, of which $97,197,000 went to the police department in revenue replacement, and $150,000 went to the water department for revenue replacement. That leaves a balance of zero.
Well, those are the two that I just said, the 150,000 and the 90,000 to the police.
No, I've got.
The $97,000 to the police is obligated and committed. We've just took the $150,000 out of the water. So really, if you want to talk about what's left according to my numbers, there's $150,000 that we're going to give to the general fund. That's it.
Well, why would they say at the November 18th meeting that there was $238,000 of ARPA funds available? That's what the previous board, that's what Trustee Hiltunen
Okay, well, I don't know, but
reported
I
to
can tell
us.
you that I crunched my own numbers, so I knew.
I can show you the
You got your
video.
calculator?
I can show you the video.
Here's all the stuff that I'm gonna file.
Go ahead and read it to me.
Okay. $103,250 was in 2022 for a one-time bonus to the Clay Township.
Correct.
Okay. $6,350 was a proposal for the wastewater treatment plant
Correct.
engineering. Okay? We've got drones that we got for the police,
Yep.
$29,282,000.
Correct.
Okay, we have suppressors, $6,256.
Correct.
Okay, we have rifles, $8,800.80. Midwest Public Safety.
Okay, hold on, let me stop you right there. The 8,800 and the 6,256, 6,256 were suppressors, 8,800 were police rifles.
Yes.
That was the total, 15,056. That was included together, those two items, for the 15,056. When I look at your green
That
sheet,
could be right.
it's budgeted twice.
Yeah.
On the
Sorry,
green
Lance, we'll be right with you.
Lance, you want to see? Lance, want to see? Come here, I asked you a few questions anyway.
Anyways, go ahead, Jerry.
Okay, we got the body cams, $31,929.
Yep.
We got the police remodeling, which was, what's the total on that?
74,957.
Yeah, 74,957. We have, the water meters, 150,000.
No, can't include those. We just took it out.
We're moving it.
237.
We're moving it. What I'm giving you right now, if you add up
Okay,
all
so-
these receipts,
Okay, go ahead, I'm sorry.
it's going to be short by the number I gave you.
Okay, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Okay. Water meters, $150,000.
Okay? General fund, let's call that. 'Cause that's what it is now.
305,000 for the,
And then the 300 and, what was the total of that?
305,000.
305 for the, it's 3 something, but 305 for the tanker.
The pumper.
Pumper.
But the 305 has not been spent yet.
But he's putting what's ever allocated and what's
Okay.
left over.
Now listen, okay? When I have to report ARPA funds, it doesn't mean that it has to be spent. I need it's called an
But Jerry,
obligation.
Jerry,
It's called.
We're talking about what's left, though.
Right.
So we
and then-
can't include that.
Yes, you can.
Because it's obligated.
There's $12,000 that's not obligated right now.
12,000?
That's what I said. 12,000 some odd change.
So
And the
where is that,
75.
though? So we went through these totals,
And the 75,000 for the trailer.
which I agree with you on everything you said, but I'm still not seeing where it's at.
Add all these up and you'll come out 12,000. Here's the receipts.
I
This
did.
is what I'm,
I spent 3 hours today adding it up.
on these receipts right here.
On everything you have on this green sheet.
None of the green sheet.
So there's stuff missing?
Add these up right now. There was a lot moving back and forth. Here's the receipts that
I
are going to
understand
go.
that. I understand that.
Okay. You add up all these receipts right here that is going to be on the obligations, the receipts and contracts. There's $12,000 that need to be allocated.
Okay. So my question to you then, if there's 12,000 remaining, where does his money come from that we're going to approve?
Whose money?
Lance's for this trailer.
75,000 has been approved, right?
75,000 is
No,
the
no,
motion.
No.
No.
75,000 is included in that 150. That was revenue replacement.
No.
Yes, it
No,
was.
it wasn't.
Oh, yes, it
No.
was.
No, it wasn't.
100%.
John, you're making this more complicated
I'm
than what it is.
not making it more complicated. Trust me, it was complicated till I went through this and figured it out today. That 75,000 was included in the 150 as revenue replacement.
It says it right on here. Read on.
I don't care what that says.
75,000 here, 150 there.
I don't care what that says. I looked at the general ledger and I looked at our ARPA minutes from our workshop.
You can't look at the general ledger because a lot of it hasn't been paid for yet. The funds are there, they're obligated, but they're not paid for
I
yet.
understand that. I understand that. That's why I said to you, the 305 is sitting in what's called an unearned account.
It's sitting in the ARPA account.
ARPA unearned account. And it
Right.
can't be transferred until that truck comes in to be paid for.
Exactly.
We don't need to, we don't have
Let
to
me
wait
ask you
till a truck
something, John,
comes in.
okay? You say the 75 and the 150 are the same?
No, I'm saying the 75 was included in the 150 that we just transferred to general.
So they're not two separate amounts, that 75 is included with the 150?
That is correct.
So they took
No,
the
no.
75?
It's not.
It's not.
So can I just say it one more time? The last meeting, 150,000 was moved to DBW, 88,000 was moved to police. Do we have to remove the money that we put to the police?
No, police, nothing is removed. In fact,
Because-
he done such a fantastic job for me to do this
I'm
here.
talking about the previous board, Jerry.
Okay.
The previous board on November 18th requested to pay 88,000 to the police budget to pay for, and remember Tanya seeing it on the video, to pay for the relocation officer at the school and funds.
Okay, yes.
So that's 88 grand. That's where your 77,000 some is.
Right.
I'm
It's that-
asking about the 75, because it's looking like it's two separate amounts. It's looking like he's got 75 in a pole barn, and then 150 for the water meters.
And that's
Is that
It's two separate.
combined,
It's-
or is it two
it's
separate?
two
That's
separate.
the real concern right now.
It's two
Is
separate.
if he's got, then he has no pole barn budget because we just pulled it.
That's correct.
But the 88,000 is in the police, we have to.
They're saying that the 75 was included in the
No.
150.
No, it's not.
Yes, it was.
My question is, do we have to move the 88,000 that the previous board allocated to the police budget? Because that's where the money is. The 150,000
No, I
and
don't believe
88.
myself if you're going to, or kids, resource officer, Ray. I'm sorry, I think it's ridiculous.
This
I
is,
have children.
we're still gonna pay them, ma'am. Nobody's taking the money away. Nobody is taking the money away.
That's what I was thinking, we're taking money away.
We're not taking it away. But do we have to vote to move that money? That's my question.
Yes.
Because if you don't move that money, we don't have it.
Is it obligated, Jerry? Do you have it?
I don't have nothing, no receipts that it's obligated. I don't have anything right here. This is all the obligates, right here.
I know, but the previous board, just like they voted to put the 150,000 in the DPW fund for water meters.
There's the 103,000 from 2022 that's still obligated, that's in there, that's,
You're not listening to me.
We're not pulling out.
You're not listening, you're not understanding. In the November 18th meeting, the previous board said, please just write this number down, $238,000 is what we've got, okay?
Right.
That's what the previous board said. We want to allocate it before we lose it, okay? This board just, and we're going to put 150,000 is what they said in DPW, and we're going to put 88,000 in police.
Actually, the number was 197,60 in police.
It was, that included the interest, and Christie later on said, we cannot move interest money into, that cannot be included as ARPA funds.
If you look at the general ledger, Maureen, 197,60 went into 207, which is the police
But
fund.
the 8,000, the 9,000 remainder was interest money that was given. But
did
the
it go into
ARPA money,
police?
yeah, it
The
went,
interest went into police?
I guess so, yeah.
According to my numbers, it did.
Yeah, that's what I calculate too. But that can't be included as ARPA money, because it's interest money. Christie Hilltooning sat there and said that. So that 88,000 was moved.
Into police.
And allocated
As
by the
revenue
previous board. So if we're gonna pay for Lance's, the 12,000 and the 75,000, that's where it is.
okay.
In my opinion.
No, that money was obligated to the police for.
Just like the 150,000 was.
For remodel and drones.
No, that's not. It was gonna, they said at the meeting on November 18th, and I will pull it up right here so you can watch it, that it was gonna be for the resource officer, Tanya? Is that right? I showed you the meeting.
Resource officer but it's already accounted for.
It's right
already
here.
been distributed.
It's obligated, it's in the police
already
budget.
done.
Just like the 150,000 was already done, and they said it can be moved. It's right here. 43,000 in balance to patrol
Just
wages.
because they say that it can be moved, is that something we should be doing?
Right, well, that's where we'd have to get the money, otherwise everything else is accounted for.
Well, there's that 150,000
So
in
I
the
would say.
general fund.
Which we just voted to move, so you'd have to vote to move it out again, I guess.
So we're not going to take money that we obligated to the police department. In my opinion, that should not be done.
We didn't.
No, but that's what Maureen is suggesting.
Well, it was reallocated, just like the 150,000 was allocated to DPW, the 88,000 was allocated to the police. And again, it's supposed to be used for something we wouldn't normally spend. Police wages, patrol wages, and our officer, we already have that budgeted to pay for. This is called replacement revenue, just like the 150,000 was replacement revenue.
So I would be 100% against taking that money from the police and redistributing it.
Well,
My
then we-
question that started this whole conversation was, not that I'm against Lance's trailer or barn, I'm 100% for it, but where does the money come from?
It has to come from there, or it has to come from the 150,000 we just moved, in my opinion.
My question is, if there was 75 put aside for my barn, where is it in my budget?
It wasn't put aside. I
It
mean,
wasn't put aside then.
It was not put aside, so it's not in my budget right now at all?
No.
The only thing that's in my budget according to my ledger is the 150,000 you're moving.
Yes.
No.
no, there was some other
According to the
things.
general ledger, it sits in your budget as we speak.
Yes,
The 75.
no, the 150,
The 150 sets in your budget as we speak.
I don't
yes,
see the green thing.
591,
699,
699. Yes.
where it says transfer in from 285, which 285 is ARPA.
That's what we did on
Correct.
the November 18th meeting.
And the DPW excavator paid fully $53,271.
item.
Well, that's in your budget.
Separate item, though.
That's in your, but you're saying the only thing I got,
It is not in my expenditure.
We
At all.
approved that, Maureen, remember?
That was
Not only did we
approved and
approve-
paid for is what it was.
you're asking if it, what was earmarked as ARPA funds for you, and the earmark was the DPW excavator for $53,271.49. That
As a
was
separate item. There was also revenue
out of the
replacement.
900 and some
There was
thousand.
also revenue replacement for $150,000.
Right.
That was separate from the DPW excavator expense. That was
Right,
separate.
right. Well, he was saying, so the only thing I've got in my fund is 150,000. And I'm saying no, because you also have the 53.
Well,
No, you don't
we
have to-
promised him 75,000. The board promised him 75,000 for a pole barn, and where is that money now?
Right now, it's sitting in the water department, but we just approved to pull it out and give it to general.
And
This information makes it look like he's got 75,000 and then an additional 150.
The 150
The information I
was
was
just
given
for
is what
water
that
meters.
is what it is presented.
Replacement for water meters.
No,
That's what it was.
listen,
50 was
listen.
transferred.
It was not, it was obligated to the water department as revenue replacement. Now, if anybody wants to say it was to help offset the cost of water meters, you could
Says it
say
right
that.
here.
You could say that.
Says it right in the
But the
minutes.
general ledger,
It's
and
written
the
right here.
obligation that will go, that will be on the report,
Allocated 150,000 ARPA for meters out of 295,000.
no. $150,000 was obligated as revenue replacement to 591, which is the water fund. Now, if you want to say it was to go from water meters, that's fine. but
I'm
that's
not saying,
what it's-
I didn't say that. This is what I found that is on there. I did not write this.
That's fine.
This
That's fine.
is
But I'm
what-
telling you,
This is what's gonna-
Gary,
this is
Gary,
what's gonna
I
go to
looked
the
at the general
treasury.
ledger today. Do you look at the general ledger?
But this is going to go to the treasury. The ledger has nothing to do with it right now. It's obligations and paid receipts.
The general ledger? No, wait.
For ARPA funds, to report ARPA funds.
I'm talking about 285 general ledger. 285 is ARPA only. 285 is ARPA only. That's when I say general ledger, that's what I'm talking about.
Okay, but
Under the 285 general ledger, that says $150,000 was given to the 591 Water Department Fund for revenue replacement. And that's how you have to report it.
revenue replacement for meters. It's on this receipt that's going to
Why
go.
are we rehashing that?
That's
That's-
going to go to the treasury department.
Okay, we need to reel it in and focus. We don't have, so now we don't have $75,000 that we promised Lance for a pole barn.
Well, we
Now
have
we
it in
have
the
a
police
budget.
budget, and the police get over $3.5 million on their budget every year. We have it in the police budget, the 88,000 in the police budget is where we have it. That's where it is,
Or we
you
have it
guys.
in the 150
Or
general
we have
fund.
it-
I just don't agree with taking from the police.
The problem was
When
that
this- we
I
pro-
had,
like
I had nothing showing, going, this 80-some thousand going to the police in everything I could find. I mean, I was left with nothing. I had to puzzle this all together.
And they moved it, and you can see it in the, right here, in the minutes.
Okay.
Well, I'm going to be totally honest. If you're going to take from Mike's fund, I don't want it. I'm going to be totally honest. I had $150,000 that was put in my fund, and you guys took it away. If you guys are going to take from Mike's fund, keep it. I don't want
You
it.
didn't have that money till November 18th. That's when that money went in there, November 18th of this year.
He was
Not last
previously-
year or the year before.
In
It was
the
November
ARPA agreement,
18th
though, the
of
pole barn
this
has been
year.
on the list
That's when it went into
since
your
April.
fund.
Pole barn was.
Well, now we just took his money for the pole barn, you took all the money out.
Because they didn't have that 88,000 in the police.
He didn't
I
even
couldn't
come
find
and
that in
ask
there.
for it or bring us receipts until we said, do you want this pole barn, Lance? That's when he came and gave it to us.
At no point in time did anybody tell me that everything had to be done and allocated. I assumed that when we done it in April, it was allocated.
You've been at the meetings, you heard on November 18th that it had to, that every, contracts and everything had to be in.
Hold on. So the $150,000 that was obligated to 591 Water Department as revenue replacement is technically obligated as far as the federal government is concerned for ARPA money. He could spend that money at the end of next budget year. It is absolutely compliant the way it sits right now, and if he doesn't spend it until June of 2025, there's nothing illegal about it.
That is not true.
It's
You have-
absolutely true.
Jerry has to have proof of where that money is going before the end of the year with a contract.
We've already
And that's why they,
obligated as
for the,
revenue replacement
for the water meters,
department.
for the water meters, it's
Now, I will
right in
ask
there.
you, Jerry, if you've ever looked at 285 GL, General Ledger, 285, which is all of the ARPA money in and out, debits, credits, and balances.
That is not how this is reported, because there's money not out of the funds yet. I have to show,
I understand that completely, but this shows exactly where every nickel is, where it's been transferred to, where it sits currently, the dates that it took place. It's all right there.
right,
It's simple. Basic math.
and these receipts are simple too.
No. You do not need a receipt for revenue replacement. You do not need a receipt for revenue replacement. We did it for fire, we did it for police, we did it for the water department.
We had to have
We are
somewhere where it
100%
went.
compliant once we obligate that.
Christy Hiltunen sat here and said, we have to report where this ARPA money's going to. So we're going to say the meters that we bought on October 1st is what we're spending this money on. And that's what we're reporting it for. That's exactly what she said.
Okay, you know what, John?
Yes, we do.
Maybe we were told incorrectly then, right? Right?
I don't know. I don't know what
No,
you
you
were
tell
told.
me, were we told incorrectly?
I don't know what you were told.
We were told there was 237,000 of ARPA money available.
Mr. Supervisor?
They were gonna park 150 into the water fund.
Here's my statement to that, Mr. Supervisor.
Okay.
In 3 hours, I sat down with this ledger, 285, which shows you every nickel in and out, and I accounted for every dollar on where it's at and what we have left.
We were told incorrectly then, weren't we?
Nobody told me nothing. I just sat down and looked at it.
Do you understand what I'm saying? We watched the November 18th meeting where they said there's $238,000 going to be placed into certain funds to obligate them. But this board could take those funds out and use them for something else. And they specifically talked about the
you may be able to.
$150,000.
And you may be able to. My statement is, Paul, is it's all right there. All we have to do is look at it.
You know what, so we can't trust anything the last board told us.
No, but I would expect, with all due respect, Jerry, for you to look at that and break it down and go, okay, here's where it's at. Because I just did it.
He
I
calculated
broke
it
it
all.
down, but I also needed receipts and obligations and contracts too.
Okay.
I can't just take that and send it over to the treasurer and say, here it is. They
I think
want,
that's
they
where the
want
confusion
this.
comes in, though. I really believe that's where the confusion comes in. Understand that obligation for revenue replacement is a designation.
No, you still have to have a receipt.
Yeah,
It
but
is
the
not.
150 wasn't replacement revenue, it was to pay for water meters that had already been paid, right?
That's what we
That's
said it
what
could
we
be
were
for.
told.
That's what we said it could be for, but that doesn't mean that's what it was for as far as ARPA's concerned.
It's right
That's
on the
what's gonna go.
agenda.
This-
It's right on the minutes.
This receipt that says for meters is what's gonna go to the treasurer.
That's handwritten for meters, right? So who wrote that on there?
It's not my writing.
It's right in the minutes of the meeting.
Okay, so let me ask you this. If that 150,000 is for meters,
And it was said, I was
Hold
at
on,
that meeting.
hold on,
It
can I
was said it
finish?
was allocated to meters.
if it was for meters, we just pulled it out of the water fund, and it's gone.
for meters that had been
Paid for already in October.
Out of his budget. That's why it's called revenue replacement.
And the
We
last,
are replacing money out of his budget that was already spent.
and at the last meeting, it was told that it can be reallocated by the new board, and they probably will, and that's just what happened tonight.
Okay, and you may be right about that, I'm not gonna argue.
I can play the video for you right now.
You may be right, Maureen, I'm not arguing.
I'll play it for everybody.
I want to hear it. I
I'm
want
not
to hear it.
arguing. My point is, where
gonna
is he
pull it
gonna
up.
get the money for this that he's asking for? That's my whole question.
It has to come out of the police fund, and he says he
Well,
doesn't
we're not
want to do
gonna
it.
that.
John, can you look something up for me?
But it's
in the
already, the
GL?
stuff that we gave to the police has already been budgeted and paid for.
Absolutely, we're
The
not taking.
resource
I
officer
would be
and
against
everything.
taking from the police, 100%.
John, can you look something up for me in the ARPA GL, please?
Yeah.
Line number 285, to see if it's 75,000 for the pole barn?
285?
Yes.
I don't see a line item, Tanya.
Did have that same information on November 18th, right, John?
Pardon me?
You had all this information on November 18th, didn't you?
I'll be honest with you, I didn't even look at it. Because I didn't need to answer these questions.
Oh, you don't have to answer any questions, but when you are told by board representatives that there's a certain amount of money, and today you want to challenge it with this board. And I understand.
Only because, Paul, we now have an expenditure that I'm going, how do we pay for it? That's why, that's all I'm asking. That's why.
On the 237,000 that is sitting there that doesn't exist.
Right.
Right?
I'm not following you.
We were told one thing, John, apparently it wasn't accurate. The
Well,
point I'm
All
making.
right, do you want me to play the video now for you?
No.
Yes.
No. I think we're getting way off track. Here's my statement. If the money's not there to pay for Lance's trailer and barn, in my opinion, we have to deny it. That's all I'm saying. I don't want to, but I don't agree with spending money that isn't there.
Does anybody want me to play this or no? No, okay.
Are we sure there's not 75,000 though? In his,
Okay, so I'm just going
In
to...
the ARPA GL.
So here's what the general ledger says. On November 19th, 150,000 was transferred from the Deferred CARES Act to 591,699, which is a line item in the Water Department budget. I believe, I don't know this for certain, but I believe it was specifically created for ARPA money. And that was on November 19th, after our November 18th board meeting, 150,000 transferred. There was also 197,60 transferred to 291, I'm sorry, 207, which is the police budget.
Why don't we do this? Why don't we table the issue? And hold a special meeting so that if it could in fact be moved back, hey, John, you're the one raising the issues. I'm saying, let's all look at it then,
Okay.
right? Because obviously the prior board didn't.
I'm 100% willing to look at it, for sure, 100%.
All right, well, then I'll make a motion to table item 1F, the purchase of a trailer and pole barn, or pole barn, and/or pole barn, until a special meeting can be called before December 31st.
I'll second.
Any further discussion?
I'm good.
No? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Board member comments, I wonder if there's any need for anybody to
Want to
comment.
do any public comments to see if anybody else is supposed to have them?
Yeah, I'm sorry, public comments comes before that. Anybody that'd like to talk on any issue can come up and comment.
I don't know. This doesn't have anything to do with all of this. Don Davy, board member, St. Clair County Community Mental Health, which, don't laugh, because today this, I'm going to say this is not just for Clay Township, for the whole community, because I said it at my own meetings. This is an incredibly difficult time for many people. This time of year, what people will go through is, a lot of us can't understand unless we have lost loved ones, unless we're in an issue where we're alone. I think it's incredibly important for all of us to understand how difficult it is for many people this time of year. You know what? It doesn't take a lot of time to go up to that person and say, listen, let's go get a cup of coffee. How are you doing? Check in on them. Because this is the hardest time of year for many people. And not just this community, but all over the nation, especially this year. So please, find someone. If you see somebody who's having a tough time, take them out for a cup of coffee. Tell them, you know what, let's go do lunch. To listen to them, it doesn't take a lot of time, it doesn't take a lot of effort, but it means the world to those who need it. Happy holidays.
Thank you.
I didn't get here in time to speak prior to the vote, so this is an after-the-fact comment, because you obviously voted to reallocate those funds, although as evidenced by what we're seeing here today, probably needs to be rethought pretty seriously. But a couple things that have been said, and I would like to really challenge this board to do your due diligence. I've heard you make some comments. You're getting into some really uncharted waters, whether you want to agree to it or admit it or not, with reallocating ARP funds specifically to HIDA. There are legalities around that, and I can assure you, as somebody said in here earlier, you work for us, we don't work for you. We're going to be watching. And I'm not threatening, I have nothing personal here, I don't know any of you personally, I'm just looking out for this community. But as somebody who runs a business and has been involved in some of the COVID government funds, I'm very familiar with what can and can't happen. Another comment was made that HIDA is somehow associated with the township because of some words in a charter. Clay Township does not govern HIDA. And I would challenge any of you to show anyone in this township any reporting you've ever done to the township. Because in order to be associated with, you have a legal obligation to report. And HIDA received $250,000 from MDEC, of which I can find nothing on what happened to those funds. And I'm just one person, maybe I'm looking in the wrong places, but it's difficult for me to understand how you want us to approve you moving money into HIDA when we have no idea what you did with that money originally. So, again, coming from business, typically you have to have some sort of a business plan or something that you outlay to your shareholders or your community that voted you in as to what exactly is the plan, what's the return. I mean, in 30 days, you guys, literally less than 30 days, have gone from 0 to 100 in 4 seconds under the campaign promise of transparency, when I watched the meeting Friday where Mr. DeBoyer said he had no knowledge of anything you guys were even talking about in advance. What the hell's going on? I want what's right for this community, as I'm sure all of you do, but I think we're going down a rabbit hole that we probably don't want to go down, so I would just challenge you to rethink that. And the legalities surrounding it, so that's what I have to say.
What's your name? What was your name? Sir? I didn't catch your name.
Sir?
Sir, what was your name?
My name's Gary.
You have a last name, Jerry?
Any address? No name and address, I guess.
Artie Bryson, oh, my time's up.
Sorry.
Artie, I want to apologize when you said about the meetings, or the emails. Guess where
Can't
your
get it to
emails
stop.
are going?
I don't know.
In my junk email.
Oh, good place.
So I found them all today.
8356 South Channel. I'm surprised not to see some, first of all, I want to thank Lance, the water department, and everybody on the water main break. But I was surprised no one's thanked Elginak's Fire Department and DPW, who also assisted us. So they should have a shout out too.
They did earlier.
Did they?
You missed it, darling.
Elginak?
You just missed it, darling.
All right, whatever. But I was surprised not to see anything on the agenda about health care. Because at your last meeting, you voted to do, what was it?
Extend the contract.
An audit. So
They're still auditing.
it only takes about 4 days to do an audit when, with healthcare, in my experience when we did it. The old board voted for HAP, which is a $100,000 savings for keeping it with Blue Cross. Now, you said it's not apples to apples, but if you did a letter of understanding with the unions, and there was like 4 or 5 items, you had to agree to cover Botox injections, extended chiropractic calls, and 3 or 4 other things. It would have been apples to apples. And you would have saved $100,000. But you guys chose not to. Now, also, I didn't see any board action on changing the agent of record, which Burnham and Flowers is not the agent of record anymore. And the problem with that, you didn't vote on it. The problem with moving it from Burnham and Flowers, they are the only agency that I'm aware of in the state of Michigan that will manage FSA, HRAs, and COBRAs for just about for free. So you move it to someone else, you're going to have to pay a fee for them to manage it, which apparently that's what you've done or are doing. And that's going to be an extent about $15,000 cost. So in my mind, you moving away from HAP and not taking the extra work to do the letters of understanding to make it the same, and now you have to hire a third party to manage those programs. It's going to cost us $115,000. That's more than you're cutting wages right there in one meeting. You blew that money. So that's my comment. Thank you.
Christy
We
Bottle,
thought you voluntarily
2979
removed
Fruit
yourself.
Street. I would like to apologize to the board and everybody here for my outburst. I am clearly very passionate about our children in our community, about our police department in our community. And the idea of taking any funds away from them just obviously instantly enraged me. I said earlier I stay out of politics. There's probably a reason. I'm not going to say that you won't see me again. You probably will, because I'm here watching like others, but I do really hope that you will reconsider taking my funds, even if they're reimbursement funds, away from our police department. Because I think that's the worst thing that you can do. Our fire department, our police department, those are our 2 most valuable resources. And I don't think any community member would be behind your decision to take it away from them, fire or police, to put to a bridge study that was already done, and we don't know where the results are for that. Thank you.
Greg Abbey, former resident of Clay Township, now Supervisor of Contraville. I just want to take a moment to commend you guys on the actions taken on your water main break. I followed it and was able to follow most of what was going on with the information that you guys put out, even with all the disinformation and whatnot. I'd like to congratulate Lance on a wonderful job with the DPW getting that work done. And that's about it. Just, you know, you're getting your feet wet, and that was a true test of a brand new board. So congratulations.
Thank you, Greg.
Thank you.
Hi again, Sarah Clements, 9400 Colquitt Road. I just wanted to make the board aware of, I guess I would say communication or conversation that I had with Jerry on social media regarding the whole idea of, do we need a feasibility study? Do we need another ferry system? Do we need all of this? Which I don't think that we do. I think we need to work with the current ferry that's here. I think that they're looking to have docks 3 and 4 done by mid-time next year. They have essentially the same ferry that you guys think the state or the federal government will pay for. I've researched this too. I'm not stupid. I think I've proven to everybody that I don't come up here just talking garbage. What I also suggested to Jerry was that, why don't you put this to a vote? Because apparently us voting down the millage wasn't enough, us all talking about it isn't enough. Why don't we take that $150,000 you just put to the general fund, and why don't we ask the residents of the township if we even want another feasibility study? Instead of looking at social media, instead of coming to these meetings where a lot of people don't attend, put it to a vote. That's what got you guys here. Why can't we do that? You're going to take the $150,000 away from water department that it was already promised to. So now we have to figure out where in the budget that money can come out. And I hope to God you don't take that out of our police fund and our children. Like Christy Bottle said, that the fact that, Maureen, you would even mention that disgusts me. Truly disgusts me. And but put it to a vote. Put it to a vote, take the $150,000, see what the township actually wants. Jerry was concerned about, then that's money that the study has, that can't go to this feasibility study if we put that to a vote. But if we put money out for HIDA, wherever it comes from, whether it's from taxpayer money or from this general fund that now has $150,000 more in it, take whatever money, run a special election or a township vote, whatever you want to call it, and let us put yes or no in a ballot box. This new board, the old board, everybody, as it's been said tonight, you work for us. The township elected you guys to do what's in the best interest of every single resident of this community, not just what you want. Not just what you want. Let the community talk, let the community decide. That's what I would ask.
Hi, I'm Christine Cross, South Parkway Drive in Clay. I just wanted to ask in your closing comments if any of you are willing to share, A, were you present or participating in the HIDA meeting that occurred prior to Thursday night's meeting? And I would also like to know, were any that were not invited into it aware of the meeting? Thank you.
My name is Robert Siska, 5000 Taft Road. I hear all this stuff about ferry. Why don't we have a bridge? Why don't we have a bridge? Because Harson's Island doesn't want us to riff-raff over there? I've only been here 6 years. All I hear about for 6 years is ferry. He wants another ferry. Another 2 ferries, another 3 ferries. What are we, in the 50s? We need ferries? Build a bridge. You could have had a bridge 10, 15 years ago. Yeah, you could have got a bridge. But no, the people from Harson's Island didn't want it. Thank you. Ferry. You got a ferry, you don't want the one you got.
Judy Campbell, 6052 St. Pierre. I want to thank you on behalf of the many, many people that signed the petitions that I have pages of for voting the opt-out. I think that is supporting the citizens, the fire hall, and the firemen. Thank you.
All right, we're going to end this pretty quick, right? So, my name's Kevin Garrity, 2398 North Channel Drive. I've been a resident on the island for the last 3 years. This board voted me off HIDA. I was appointed in March without even having a meeting. I've reached out to Harold. I see him sitting back there via email. Hi, Harold. I've talked to Dennis, and I really want to be involved. I think I can bring some value to the board, some common sense maybe. I understand the position several of you hold here, and I just think some new representation might bring a change, might bring some collaboration. I've heard several people say, maybe that's the road we should go down. But before I was given a chance, you guys voted me out. I don't know if it's legal. I don't know if I'm still on the board or not, but I'm going to go to the meeting, and I'm going to continue to try to give my time and talent to making Harson's Island and the transportation to and from as best as it can be. It's nice to meet you guys. I've talked to John on the phone. I know Artie. I talked to Mark, I believe, and Chris O'Regan when I volunteered to be part of the board. So a little bit of background there, but Supervisor Cassidy, I haven't met you. It's good to meet you. And I look forward to continuing, hopefully, to support the community and give up my time. So thank you, and appreciate you guys.
Brian Kufelt, 8401 McKinley. I was here at the last special meeting where we had the same exact motion fail to move $150,000 worth of funds out of the water department. 4-3 it failed. I'd like to know what changed from Trustee Campbell. What information was presented or changed to where now you are now in favor of this moving $150,000 out of that water department? Nothing changed. No information
Can I answer that?
differs from last meeting. So who or what
Brian, you can
changed?
make a comment at the
Could I
appropriate
answer
time.
your question?
No, you don't have to.
Well,
Just
I
wait.
will. I mean,
It's okay, let him do it.
I saw the video where the previous board allocated this money, this $238,000 to this fund. The comment was that we were gonna probably move it anyway. So with the original information that we got at that special meeting, it was not very clear. So that's why I voted not to move it at that point in time. But since the money was there, according to the last board, I checked the MPA website, and it was legal to move this money. It had to be earmarked for something, so that's why I decided to move it to the general fund.
Well, it was earmarked for something. And now that gentleman doesn't have his department's money. Congratulations. I'd like to commend Mr. DeBoyer, Mr. Borchardt, and Mrs. Hogan for actually doing your due diligence, because Ms. Bowery touted Mr. Galka's hard work, hours and hours and hours, all hours of the night to find these numbers, to the T, to the penny. And in 20 minutes, Mr. DeBoyer and Mrs. Hogan had him in shambles because his math did not add up. 4 minus 6 is not 10. That's not accounting. You don't get a surplus of funds when you allocate $305,000 to something and the actual cost is $360. That's not the accounting that we need, and that sure doesn't make sense. Thank you.
First of all, I'm sitting in the back row of this room, and I'm not, I'm not sure if these are turned on, but my hearing is actually pretty good, and I was kind of having a hard time hearing some of the people speak, including some of you. I don't know how that gets addressed, but something somebody might want to think about. My name is Andy Goulet, 9812 North River Road, Clay Township, and again, I've been around for a long time. So there's all sorts of opinions and social media posts and talk on the street and what have you and so on. And to cut through the fluff and the banter and the useless information and get down to the brass tacks, I just have questions, okay? And these are questions/challenges for this board, for all of you, all right? And some of you will agree with me and some of you will not. Okay, let's talk about this HIDA thing. So HIDA was given a $250,000 grant to do a feasibility study. Someone already asked, where did that money go? Okay, that's a good question, and I think that an explanation with documentation, because there's supposedly an audit of that HIDA is supposed to be approving pretty soon or something of that nature. The results of that should be written out in detail and published for the rest of the residents of the township to understand what's going on before we figure out if we want to give another $217,000 for another feasibility study. What happened to the first one? What were the results of the study? What are the facts of the matter? I'm a pretty good reader. I read a lot of sources of information from all over the place in the newspapers and online and what have you, and I've not seen anything about what is going to be the plan based on this feasibility study. What's feasible? What's not feasible? I just think that'd be good information for the residents of our township to know. You know, we talk about a $5 ferry. Everybody in this room that wouldn't love a $5 ferry, raise your hand. See? Everybody would. But is it pie in the sky? Is it feasible? Again, there's that word. What can be done? Are there other alternatives to a new ferry system? Are federal and state funds available to create new ferry lines? My understanding, and from the reading I've done, is that federal and state dollars to finance and pay for something of this nature are not existent. Now, I could be wrong. I'd be happy to see something in writing or something reported that says, here's where funds from the federal and state governments come from. They come from the Department of Building New Ferries or the Transportation or Coast Guard or whoever. None of that information is out there. We want to get a new ferry so we can have $5 ferry fees, and that's about it. And we want money to do another feasibility study, but we haven't told you what the results of the past study were. So I think information, we're talking about transparency, information would be good if it was put forth, and if it has been, I will stand corrected, but I haven't seen it. And nobody that I've talked to that has questions about any of this has seen it either. So I'd like to see things happen the way they're supposed to.
You have 3 minutes, sir. You've exceeded your 3 minutes.
What's that?
I don't like cutting people off, but that ringing meant that your time had expired to speak. We only give 3 minutes.
Okay.
If we start giving 5 and 10 and 20, we'll be here all night. I'm not trying to be rude. I'm just telling you that you've used your 3 minutes.
Okay, I appreciate that. So can I continue?
No.
So I hope everybody gets my point. I'm just asking on behalf of myself and a whole bunch of people, can we please see what the results and what the projects and the proposals are? And have a good Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Andy. There not being anyone else, we'll go to
and here's some.
comments by the board. Somebody's coming up. Oh, guess I missed one.
Once again, Adam Pender, 2979 Fruit. Just a couple things real quick. One, I just want to say that, I would like to know what the difference is between taking the 150K and giving it straight to HIDA, and what the difference is between that and taking it and putting it in a general fund just to fund the things that HIDA would have to fund themselves. Because to me, truthfully, that's the same thing. We're footing the bill for what HIDA needs done. And also, too, just because HIDA's letterhead on their website says that, oh, well, we are a subsidiary of Clay Township Board, well, what responsibility does the Clay Township Board have towards HIDA? Because that was never answered. What control does Clay Township have over HIDA? Because as it's seen and as it seems to be operated, HIDA is completely separate from the Clay Township Board. In addition to that, I just want to say that, thank you to John DeBoyer, Mark Burchart, and Tanya Hogan over there for seemingly talking sense into some of these issues as, you guys are deliberating. But then it's amazing that, we're going to take this 150K out of the DPW, put it to the general fund so that way we can fund HIDA's stuff that they want done for their feasibility study. But then all of a sudden DPW doesn't have money. So now we need to find money for DPW for the projects that they've already started that they have to pay for. Well, then the first thought is to we're going to take money from the police, because that's exactly how it got, pivoted. Why are we taking money from services that we as citizens need and rely on and trust to, get the assistance they need from this board? Why are we taking the money from that for something else that's not the board's responsibility? Because HIDA isn't a subsidiary of Clay Township Board and is separate. In addition, I just want to say that, I forget her name, but this woman in the green over here, I think that's a very valid question of which board members have insight into the HIDA meetings and the HIDA goings on, and which people are not aware of it. Because, it kind of seems that some of you have all the knowings of everything going on with HIDA, whereas other members of the board are finding out this information at meetings and not being presented it before these meetings. So why is that information being kept there and being kept from, other members of the board, as well as, why is everyone not on the same page? Why is there not full transparency? And why are we moving this money around for this agency? When, truthfully, it seems that nobody wants it. No, I get it.
Thank you.
But real quick off of that, you have all of these receipts and everything, and it's being added up, and the numbers are being there, but then you guys seemingly don't care about the math. Because I was sitting there tallying things in my head, because I've dealt with large numbers as well, and, well, this number and that number.
Thank you.
All right, have a nice day.
Sure, if you stay, you'll learn something about HIDA if you'd like to stay.
I'm staying right here, I'm just returning my coat to my mom.
Okay. Anybody else? There being no one else, we'll go to board comments. Want to start with Mr. DeBoyer?
Sure. So, first off, I'd like to say congratulations and thank you to Bev Rose. I got the pleasure to work with Bev for many, many years. She was, I don't want to say the best, but one of the best dispatchers this township's ever seen. She's going to be sorely missed over there, so I wish her the best in retirement. Secondly, I want to say thank you to Lance Surtee and the entire water department. I don't, until you go through it, the stress and the up all night and everything that goes with it, and you don't understand what they're going through. They did a fantastic job, although it was really inconvenient for the Islanders for that long period. They did a great job. Thank you to the fire department for what they did, police department, and Algonac's DPW and fire department, and our St. Clair County Emergency Administrator, and everybody here in the office that got the information out to the people. I think you guys did a great job. Secondly, or thirdly, I should say, I do have one question that popped into my head that somebody made a comment. Is Burnham and Flower still our agent of record for insurance?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
At that meeting, when we agreed to keep everything the same until we address it later on, I've talked to them personally. They are our agent. Like, that is not an issue. We are continuing
Okay.
on with that as
I
is.
just wanted to clarify that. And then I just wanted to say that, I don't mean to sit up here and spout off and cause any dissension whatsoever on this board. That's probably not our job. But I do feel like I feel like I leave my opinions out of things that I say and do, and I base it on what the township citizens relay to me, and I try to represent what they want is out of a board member. I try to leave my personal feelings and opinions out of it. So I just wanted to make that statement. And as far as any HIDA meeting amongst board members, I'm not familiar of anything that went on. If there was, I wasn't included. I'll just say that. That's all I've got.
Maureen? Well, I'll piggyback on what John said. I don't know if I have is that my phone? I got airplane mode on. So, really, I thought we got water back real quickly. Somebody's got their phone on. And I just got to thank everybody involved. I thought it was going to go on for weeks and months, so thank you.
Great job.
Took a shower at midnight. Sunny night, it was awesome. Just like all the meetings, the Planning Commission, the ZBA, the South Water Municipal Authority, those meetings are on the Clay Township website. I usually mention them here. I am one that's very involved with HIDA, because I live on the island and I've done a lot to help. You're always invited. The meetings have been going on for 5 years. We had a catastrophic event in 2019, and HIDA was resurrected, and the meetings have been going on for a long time. Until the millage was brought in, which wouldn't have happened if anybody on the board, would have given any assistance to HIDA. Do they report to Clay Township? No. Are they a subsidiary? Yes. But, then it's designed that way for a reason. Clay Township is not supposed to, as this board, we're not supposed to control everything. This is something that's separate. There will be a meeting. There was not a meeting held. It was rescheduled to Thursday. So nobody missed that meeting. You're more than welcome to come. And I'm sure that with all these concerns, I will pass along the information everybody wants to see, where every dollar was spent. There's a whole spreadsheet about that, and that'll be provided so everybody knows. You cannot pass out a feasibility study for everybody to see until it's 100% completed. It's not 100% completed, so it's not available to the public. But that's, phase one has been done. A lot of other, things had to take place. You couldn't just pay for the feasibility study. Like I explained, you have to have the property and so on. As far as what Mr. Bryson came up and said, that we didn't save the township $100,000. How many people walked in and out of the offices, Tanya, complaining, we do not want HAP? He's saying it's apples and apples, and you just, maybe got to pay for a little bit of extra chiropractic and this and that. No. People can't have their same doctors. I don't appreciate being interrupted again, Artie. And maybe we have to have the officer stand right next to you, I don't know. But it wasn't, everybody in the police department, everybody in the administration, and I asked that question at that meeting, Supervisor Bryson or ex-supervisor, have the people been contacted? Oh, it's not going to be a problem. The minute this board took office, everybody was on them like crazy, including you, right, Chief? I came in the office, the first thing you said to me is, you got to get this insurance fixed. So to say that this board did not help is, it shouldn't have been done in the first place, and this information was given to the board by saying that everyone was on board with it. And like she said, you're incorrect that Burnham and Flowers is still not. Many people are misinformed about a lot of things. I heard people come up here and say, these numbers don't add up. There's $305,000 for the excavator, but it's $365,000. If you look at the agendas, the fire chief agreed that he was gonna pay $365,000 for the excavator, but we were gonna give him $305,000. He agreed that $59,000 was gonna come out of his fund for that. So it wasn't that this board didn't get the numbers right. We were following through on what was promised and that situation, so, it just, it hurts me to see the people being told, that that's not the case, and, I guess we're gonna see you one more time before Christmas. I was gonna say Merry Christmas, but we have to do a special meeting, right? So,
Yes, go ahead.
I don't know if we want to figure a day.
Well, I just want to thank everyone for coming up to the podium and speaking their mind, and a lot of good, a lot of bad, but mostly good, on my part anyway, so thank you very much for that. I want to thank John DeBoyer for his expertise in that, and as well as the rest of the board here. And I'll remind Maureen that she had her 3 minutes up already, so.
I don't think the board has a time restraint, Mark.
Well, not
Thank
yet.
you, though.
Not yet, but, so anyways, I'm gonna go back in my first comment about HIDA and the ferry or not the ferry or whatever. It seemed to be undermining a lot of the, or most of the departments here in the Clay Township in order to get something that was promised during the campaign. I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but we are at a crossroads on whether or not we're going to get another ferry, not get a ferry, or take the ferries that we currently have, and as the person from the, won't name them, but the person from the Championship Ferry put out a very good message on exactly what he's going to be doing currently. So I'd like to see that in full volition. Thank you.
Jerry?
I'm just going to address something that Mark just brought up about the owner champion there. Also put a comment on there 11 months before a recall, so I don't really think that's a good thing for a businessman to say. On the HIDA, on the ferry thing, that was my campaign promise.
He didn't say that. Barb said that. He didn't say that. He didn't say that. Barb said that.
That was a comment, it wasn't Jake.
Okay, I'm sorry, I apologize.
Yeah, we go again.
Okay. Well, anyway, I want to extend my heartfelt gratitude to Lance Surtee, Captain Rose, Captain Coach, Justin Higgins, and Paul Cassidy for their tremendous efforts in addressing the water main break. A special thank you to Kroger and Meyer for generously donating bottled water, as well as the residents who reached out on social media to offer assistance and supplies. It truly takes a collective effort from all of us to build a strong and vibrant community. On the second note, I must express my disappointment with the previous board. During a recent meet and greet for the new treasurers, I observed some former treasurers showing up with their new treasurers. They were working with their treasurers. When I went up and talked to them, they said, yes, our whole board came in to make sure that the transition was done completely. I had nothing but frustration, and Tanya had nothing but frustration. We had nothing. We had to put everything together. Nobody gave us any guidance. I still don't have passwords to certain things that we need to get into. It's just, if you truly care about your community, which the prior board said they do, why didn't you take the initiative to facilitate a smoother transition for us? Clay residents, please keep this in mind, that they put a big burden on us by not reaching out to help us. And I'd like Chief Coach to talk about our drones that we're getting, since drones are such a big deal in the media now. You want to talk about our new drones?
Well, I'd like to do it as soon as I got it solidified.
Okay.
I'm still in the midst of everything right now. I think everything's going through, and they're going to be coming out to do a presentation with us.
Okay.
So that gives me a little more insight, and then I think what I'd like to do is actually a demonstration with them at the same time.
Okay, I was excited when I seen the
It's looking good.
Yeah, it looks really good.
Is that it?
Yeah, I'm done.
Ryan?
I just want to congratulate Bev Rose on her retirement. You better watch out, George. Now she's going to really be in your hair. Just want to thank all the people on the water main break. Lance, great job he did. Ballards, the marine contractor. Can't forget about the barge guy. Gabriel Marine. Elginak Fire. All the donations from Kroger, Meyer, Colony Ball supplied some food and stuff, so it was a concerted effort. I was actually down at the site 5 or 6 times over the weekend, helping Lance out and giving him my advice, which he didn't take, so I don't expect a paycheck, Lance. So that's all I got, and thanks for coming, everybody.
Tanya?
All right, well, Bev, I'm going to miss you. You have been nothing but sweet to me, and I appreciate it. And I also just want to thank everybody for this past weekend, because who would have thought, 3 weeks in and we were dealing with a water main break, but everybody really came together and acted like a community, like we all want, and supported each other. And that's why I'm here, for the community. So I just want to thank everybody for this past weekend, as tough as it was and as crazy as it was. Everybody really came together, and it was nice to see everyone working together.
I just have a few comments. First, I'd like to address that HAP issue in that this board voted, including, I think, the 3 of you, to go with HAP because you were informed it was apples to apples. Am I right or am I wrong?
I was under that.
So, and where did you get that information? Well, we know where you got it. And today, now, he's going to come here and criticize us for spending money that we don't have to spend. I think that's not right. That gentleman asked about a bridge. I had the benefit of serving 2 years on HIDA. It's not a paid position, although members of HIDA spent a lot of money traveling, going to look at ferries, going to look at other ferry systems. They spent their own money, drove up to the UP, met with the UPCA, which has a $5 ferry rate to Sugar Island. And they did nothing but tell us about how much money is available from federal grant money, state grant money. They got a $5.5 million ferry for free. And it was an icebreaker ferry, something we certainly never have had here. We met with the Detroit Bridge Company very early on, 2 years ago, and they wanted to put in place a business agreement with HIDA where HIDA would guarantee and get them $45 million from MDOT, which MDOT was willing to give HIDA to build this bridge, and they were going to throw in $45 million. And then we came to the question of who's going to own and operate it, and what is it going to cost to go across. And you know what? They wouldn't answer us. We had 2 different objectives. Theirs was to make money, and ours was to keep fares as cheap as possible. That's what we were met with, and we were not able to say, oh yeah, we'll give you $45 million, treat us right. I mean, we have a fiduciary duty. We couldn't do that. We made overtures to Champions Auto Ferry about trying to work a collaborative agreement, which was struck in 2013 by Blue Water. And they were going to get $1.6 million every year from Blue Water to run Champions Auto Ferries to help set off prices. Now you're in a business agreement with this gentleman, and you want to know, okay, we don't know if you make $1 or $10 million running Champions Auto Ferry. We have to have some sharing of information. How are we going to share that? How are we going to give them $1.6 million and do like the Detroit Bridge Company, take care of us? You've got a fiduciary duty to the citizens.
So look at all the trouble you have.
Now listen.
You would have a bridge. You wouldn't have that problem. Somebody's got to pay for it. Who's going to pay
That's
for
right,
it?
that's right. So
You just explained about the
Champions
bridge.
could have gotten $1.6 million every year to offset prices. They didn't want to do it. If you go to the HIDA site and you read the history, you will see a tortured history with Champions Auto Ferry and Clay Township. You'll see the litigation involved between Clay Township, Champions Auto Ferry. There was never a realistic way to meet with Mr. Bryson and work out a collaborative agreement, because he's his own man, it's his business, he doesn't have to tell us anything, we understand that.
Well, if you're not happy with them, shut them down.
Well, that's kind of an extreme thing.
You want to bang your gavel, Paul? You can bang your gavel?
Sir,
Paul.
please, okay? I'm trying to explain something.
He's got bills to pay.
Can you have him removed?
So now tonight, we vote to take $150,000.
He just called you an idiot.
Sir, you want to just leave?
Yep, I'll leave.
Thank you.
Judge.
In any event, we did try to reach a collaborative agreement with Mr. Bryson, and we were not able to do it. So now we're at a point of, what do? Do we do something to try to work something out where we can get funding? MDOT wants the studies. I don't want the studies. HIDA doesn't want the studies. MDOT wants the studies. And you can go to the MDOT publications about what they've said about the Harson's Island and the ferry system. Now, I am a little bit mystified tonight because I am very proud and pleased that Mr. DeBoyer did such a terrific job with all these numbers. But what I'm mystified about, John, is that the item to transfer $150,000 was put forth prior to the items dealing with giving the money to the water department. And everything you said against us coming up with the money for the water department, you could have brought to our attention when we talked about the $150,000. You could have said your numbers are wrong. You could have told us that, but you didn't.
No, I think I was very clear.
No, I don't.
I think I was very clear that I disagree with that.
You were very clear when we were talking about how are we going to come up with the money for Lance.
Right.
You were not clear.
Mr. Supervisor,
You didn't make one statement
Mr. Supervisor,
that we don't have $150,000.
Whether or not Lance comes forward with a request for an expense, I'm still against taking that money from the water department and giving it to general fund for a HIDA
This
study.
is your board comment, not his.
I'm a little against laying in the weeds, and I think you
I
did.
was not doing that.
I thought you did.
Absolutely not.
In any event.
Absolutely not.
In any event,
I had no idea.
we have,
Before you spend that money, can you talk with the ferry first and see if you can reach an agreement before you spend that money?
we're not going to spend that money until we have another meeting, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay?
Talk to him before that.
And with that, we're done with comments. I'd be happy to stay here all night and answer any question anybody has. I'll just tell you that. But I'm not going to do it and waste everybody's time. So we're done with public comments. I entertain a motion to adjourn.
Paul, I just have one more comment.
Yes.
Please, if I may. So I was very clear at our special meeting where I stood. I was very clear when it came to our agenda initially, and I was very clear when it came before us on the water department expenditure. It wasn't a matter of laying in the weeds. That's just my principled opinion.
You sat here and supported everything you did because you spent 3 hours today with all those numbers.
That's correct.
And you said nothing when we were talking about the $150,000.
But that's
I'm sorry.
immaterial. It's immaterial.
But it's material to me.
No.
Because the vote may have been different if that information had been brought forth.
Also, it's my fault now.
With that, we have a
Motion to adjourn. Support.
All in favor?
Aye.